blending together like a good jazz band. Pilot and co-pilot, bombardier, navigator, engineer, radio man, photographer gunner, waist gunner, ball turret gunner, and tail gunner. The ground men pull the chocks and the first plane hauls her nose round into the wind.
Was awesome. I know that sounds overused. I've always been fascinated with B-17s ever since a child. My father told me a story about seeing one get hit over Schweinfurt. Watching a movie, I must have asked. He never talked about much of anything. I just always had a fascination with them, and I always wanted to get a ride on one, and now I have. It was unbelievable.
What was it actually like taking off? Was there like a G-force or anything, or was it just like really smooth the whole ride?
It was kind of noisy. You could tell you were off, as soon as you knew you were off the ground, you could tell the vibration from the wheels quit. And from where I was at, I could look out the rear door, and I could see where we were sitting for takeoff. You can't look out the windows. So I was looking out the rear door, so I knew we were off. You could feel you were off. And you hear the roar of the engines kind of change. There's a slight difference, and then the plane goes a little bit more level, even though it's climbing. I really can't explain it any better than that, but you know you're off. It was a little spooky at first because there's some vibration, and they tell you to keep your hands away from the control cables, which this is a World War II bomber. You can look up and there's quarter-inch steel cables running all around. If you grab one of those, you can cause a problem. So you're very wary of that, and you've got to stay on your feet. So yeah, there's a little bit of vibration. So it was fun, but it took me about 5 minutes to get oriented and how to move around without. I think it was the same for everybody else too. You can kind of tell the way they were sort of gauging how to move. And, it was fascinating.
I mean, they say in the detail on the B-17 that it can go up to like 250 miles an hour. You have any sensation of speed up there when you're in the airplane?
I suspect we were going a good deal slower. I think we were probably around 150 or 160, but it's speed's kind of hard to tell once you're off the ground. It's more looking out the window. It's kind of hard to gauge, and things were going by fast. I mean, we flew over New Enterprise's quarry. And it seemed like moments later we were over Blair Township. I mean, I could look down at Blair Township, and we went right in. North Logan Boulevard was just look right down, only following right in. I could see, all the familiar landmarks, everything. So we were just to the, I would say, the west of Logan Boulevard as we went in. So I knew right where I was at. It moved faster than you think because we were across Altoona almost before I realized it. So it doesn't seem like you're going that fast when you're there, but when you're watching the ground and you realize landmarks, it's moving pretty good.
I guess, I don't know what that thing's called where you stuck your head up through or whatever above the Bombay area or whatever they call that, an area where they had it open, like the roof open. Did you stick the camera up there or did you stick your head out or what?
Stick my head out. I'm just smart enough not to do that, but I did put the camera out and tried to pan it around, and the wind just about tore the camera out of my grasp, even though I only just got the lens clear of the combing. So there's views from to the side to the rear of the tail, but the wind shear on just as soon as that camera got up, it almost pulled it out of my grasp, and I had a real good hold on it. So I wouldn't want to stick it up much further, and you'd be missing a camera.
I guess you went up in a glass nose. How was that? Or plexiglass, I guess it's made out of.
I was up where the bombardier was, and sat right at the Norton bomb site right as we came back and approached the airport. And it was, you see the movies, but when you're looking down and there's nothing under your feet, You can see the pedals. You're on the chair. The Norden bomb sight's between your knees, and you're looking at it, and you're in a bubble. You almost feel like you're flying through the air by yourself. It's a little giddy. It really is. But I had my hand up on the. There was a navigating ring right above me that I had my hand on, but it was really something else. It was neat. But the bomb sight still works. I looked through it. Yeah, there's a final prism mechanism on the end that's not on it, but you can look down and see. If we'd had bombs, we could have dropped a few. Yeah.
Wipe out Altoona for us.
Yeah, well, I live there, but it's just an awesome piece of history to experience that. You really got to crawl about everywhere. There's not the room that you would think from watching movies and shows. Especially when you go forward, you move into an area behind the pilot's seat, and to go down into the navigator's area and the bombardier's area, you literally have to crawl down through a little tunnelway that's kind of just behind and to the rear of the pilot's seats. It's almost like somebody dug a little ditch there that you'd fall into. You got to bend and crawl quite a bit to get where you're at, because when you do that, immediately behind you is the stand for the upper ball turret that they stood on, and it rotated as they stood up there with twin machine guns. And looking at that, I can't imagine 50 caliber machine guns right at both of your ears. The rear of the mechanism is right there by both of your ears, and you're firing that at enemy fighters. The guys that survived probably couldn't hear. I can't imagine that.
I don't know if they even believed in ear protection back then, did they?
There's no room in there, trust me. There is just barely enough room to squeeze in, and that was all young men, not somebody my age.
Well, I think I read somewhere that they didn't take anyone over 6 foot to fly in one of those things. You had to be 6 foot and under to fly in a B-17 during World War II.
I can well imagine that's true, just crawling around. I'm 5'10", but I had trouble getting around in there, and I'm pretty spry. You really had to kind of double up and squeeze and watch your head and shrug. And when you're coming from aft, where the waist gunner position is, you have to kind of step up on a platform to get around the lower ball turret, and there's a mechanism that holds it in place, as well as it looked like an oxygen bottle of some kind, but you have to squeeze around that. So you're doing this weird dance, and then you get into the bomb bay, and literally, I'm not heavy, but you have to turn sideways. Your hips would wedge you between where the bombs are. There's a steel panel that keeps the bombs from falling into the walk rack that the crew used to go back and forth. And if you had 2 suppers too many, I think you'd be staying on the tail of the aircraft. I don't think you could get through there.
Wow. 17 was named for?
It was named for the bomber group, the 9th, I forget, the 9th of the 9th, and it came up as the 909 when they named it. But it was produced during World War II, but it was finished too late for World War II. So they actually used it for nuclear testing. It was they had it wherever they put it for 3 nuclear tests, I guess, to observe the effects of what the nuclear bomb did to a standing plane on an airfield, if it was usable afterwards. Apparently, after they tested it and made sure it was clear, it found its way into, I think it was doing crop dusting or something like that for a while. And then it was snatched up by a historical group, and they restored it to what it originally was, and it moved back to being the historic thing that it is. And here it comes again. Obsolete. I mean, they were using B-29s by the end of World War II. And we were fighting the Japanese then. The Germans were done, so the B-17s were obsolete. But they did their work, and they did it well. It's an awesome machine. It just is. It's crude and it's awesome at the same time. I don't know how to. It just overwhelms you looking at the technology then and what they did with it. So, well, I don't know about the getting screamed at, but I'll tell you what, it's loud, especially when it takes off. But that's part of the fun. At least it was for me.
Glad you had a great day.
I had better than a great day. I'm ecstatic.
the hatch in the rear, hatch on the opposite side of the front, and the bomb bay doors won't support any weight, so don't lean on them, step on them, nothing like that. If you drop anything in the bomb bay, wait till the end of the flight, we'll get it then, no problem at all. Top hatch in the radio room does remain open for flights. Grab onto your hat and glasses and everything else like that and walk through there. The walkway in the bomb bay is very narrow. Don't try to meet anybody on it. If there's somebody on it, let them come off and you go up. You must remain seated and buckled for taxi, takeoff, landing, and taxi again. But once we get in the air, I'll turn around and give a thumbs up. That means you can go ahead and get up, start moving around the plane, do whatever you're going to do. The only two places you're not allowed to go is the ball turret and the tail turret. Everywhere else is fair game. Then about 2 to 3 minutes before we land, I'll come around and give a buckle up symbol and then go ahead and get back to a seat, get buckled up. It does not have to be the seat you started off in, just a seat. There's 8 of you, so it's not quite a full flight, but it's pretty close. It'll be pretty cramped in there. There's control cables throughout the plane above your head. If you grab onto one of those, you're flying the plane and not the pilots. So we ask you not to do that. Don't try to talk to the pilot or co-pilot. It does get pretty busy up there sometimes, so just let them do what they do. That's pretty much it. Anybody got any questions?
But you can stand up right behind the pilot seats and kind of watch what they're doing.
Absolutely.
We allowed to go into the nose section?
Yes.
While you're in flight.
Sit in the bombardier seat, do what they're going to do, but
Does the Norton sight work?
the magnifier over top the lens is gone, but it does work. You can look through it, whatever you want to do. The nose section does get pretty cramped, so don't stay up there the whole flight. Circulate it. People circulate in and out there. Anybody have any trouble getting up off the floor? Alright, we're going to sit you in the radio operator seat. It's the only real chair in the whole plane. So you'll be in there. Everybody else is going to have to sit on the floor.
If we can't get the jack underneath it, blow the lid off.
What? On the floor? There's cushions on the floor, yeah.
Yeah, there's like a backrest and a cushion on the floor.
Right.
Seat.
There's 3 seats in the radio room, and then there's 5 seats in the rear section here. He's got the radio operator seat, but anywhere else is wherever you want to sit. It don't really matter. If nobody's got any more questions, y'all go ahead and jump in there. Go ahead. Kirk. Step on me.
Exactly what I didn't know.
It'll cool off shortly. That's what the ladder. The ladder actually makes it harder to get in there.
Hey Scott, have fun.
Oh well.
I hope you caught him. I missed.